What's up guys, Grandmaster Igor Smirnov is here, and today we've got a simple, aggressive and unknown solution against the Caro-Kann Defense, which wins for white against all common moves of black. Here we pretend like we defend this pawn, but then instead of recapturing, you all of a sudden develop your bishop. This pawn on e4 is still hanging, therefore your opponent wants to develop and defend it, but then we attack it for the second time. Now after the trade, you've got a great advantage in development, lots of attacking opportunities. On top of that, one of the most common moves of black is bishop g4. They do wish to bring the bishop out and then play e6 and finalize their development. However, in this case, this move bishop g4 is just a common blunder. It seemed to pin your knight, but in reality, there is this bishop takes f7 and knight to e5 tactic. You can start with bishop takes f7 or even knight takes e5, a fantastic solution, letting him capture a queen and finishing it off. Alright, if that move is a blunder, can he just play any other move? It's not that simple. Let's say he develops the bishop here, which is of course much better. Still you castle, and it's one of the ideas of this gambit is that you've got this f-file for your rook. And after e6, you've got knight g5, a very aggressive and interesting move, especially for Blitz, that puts your opponent on a highway to Blunderville. There are various ways that your opponent can choose here. For example, pawn to h6, trying to just getting rid of this annoying knight. But that is another blunder. Now you sacrifice the knight right here. After king recaptures, you get your piece back. And thanks to the pin, he cannot take your rook. Now his king is exposed, this pawn on e6 is weak, and even though you're not checkmating black right away, but you've got a long-term and really strong attack. What if your opponent does not even react and plays very solidly, just goes bishop e7 hoping to castle? Well, it's a rookie error. You sacrifice, this time the rook, and still overpower black, this time it's a fork. On the next move, you grab the rook, now you're up a piece and you keep attacking. Which brings us to the fish in the room. It suggests bishop g6 covering this square f7, but then you can go full tile mode and sacrifice your piece on e6 with a really strong attack against his centralized king. Right now the queen is hanging, and it's very difficult for black to defend this position, especially in Blitz. Once the queen moves, seemingly attacking your knight, you may ignore it completely and just develop your bishop, adding one more attack right here. The idea is you're not getting worried about this knight, because if he takes it, he's gonna run into troubles along the e-file. Just be sure not to play this move right away. In that case, he can cover with the knight. It's important to trade it off first and only then go rook e1. And now you win the queen and save really strong attack after that. That said, the most played move by black here is bishop e7, which adds one more chapter to their novel, 50 Shades of Blunders. This hands this pawn on g7, and now it's completely easy for you to attack black and destroy them. After king f7, there is another really elegant move. It seems like the knight is in trouble, but it goes to h5 with a counter attack. Notice that this knight is pinned. Therefore, he can't capture with the knight. If he captures with the bishop, again, you have another fantastic move. Queen takes h5, checking the king. The knight is still pinned, still can't move. Therefore, the king has to move. And it also needs to guard this knight on f6. And therefore, black is destroyed completely. Now you attack it, you capture it here, and you just finish the game quickly within a couple moves. What if your opponent does not want to develop at all? Maybe he's okay with being primitive. Guess what, it's gonna be tough for him anyway. Let's say black goes e6, not developing this light square bishop. Then you simply castle, and although black indeed is in time to castle before he gets in trouble, overall his position just remains to be very passive. This bishop is locked, can't get out, the knight cannot be developed to this normal square, and it's all kind of awkward for him and all very passive. Now, the attacking plan you can choose is to shift your queen to the king side, since we know that he's going to castle there. You can also reroute your bishop there, so that both bishops support your attack on the king side. And then once your queen lands there, typically to h4, occasionally to g3, taking aim at the king that way, that already starts generating some very unpleasant pressure. If he moves this pawn, you can sack your bishop and quickly checkmate the king after that. If instead he moves this pawn, trying to blockade the light square bishop, now all the dark squares are very weak, and you can throw your dark square bishop there, putting the pressure down this diagonal. Now, again, there are no threats at the moment, but it's still very annoying. The knight cannot move away if the knight moves. You know, that's going to drop the bishop there on e7 because of your battery. If he tries to defend this bishop first, then you just play knight e5, another very common attacking move, which adds the knight into the attack, but also opens up a file for your rook. And after the trade, The final defender of black's position is kicked away after the knight moves. Typically in such positions, the very strong move is knight to e4, taking aim at all these squares, and black will be in trouble very soon. But in this particular case, there is an even stronger move. I'll give you a few seconds to find it out yourself. You can try to think about this. It's the rook sacrifice. Rook takes f7, totally uncovering the king, threatening queen takes h7, which is going to come if the rook is accepted, and then it's a quick checkmate. Sometimes in this position your opponents will defend their central pawn by going bishop f5, either right away or playing the normal move knight f6 first, and then instead of taking this pawn on f3, they can choose to play bishop f5, defending the pawn that way. Then the most aggressive way for you to continue is to trade and play queen f3 with a whole lot of threats. You hit the bishop, you attack the knight, and if the bishop moves somewhere, it also needs to keep protecting that backward pawn on f7. Therefore, in real game, it's very tricky for black to find correct moves, and you have nice initiative in all variations. For example, if black captures this pawn on d4, which looks tempting at first, it both guards the knight and hits your bishop. The bishop gets really angry and begins the attack with bishop takes f7, and you win the game. Now you capture this bishop, checking the king and attacking the knight. And yes, black can save their knight, but you continue attacking this time. You hit the queen, and it's interesting that in this position, in most cases, black moves the queen either to g4 or to d7, which is going to show how tricky a knight really is, because in both cases, it fails to this fork. And if you want to play any opening well without memorization, check out this free masterclass. It contains those principles that other grandmasters, myself included, use to find correct moves quickly, even in Blitz.